Here is our miniature rainforest, and in today's video I'll be showing you exactly how I built it. The tank features a stunning display of vibrant flora that contrasts beautifully against the rich soil, from the towering ferns to the delicate mosses, creating a visually stunning landscape. Join me in this multi-part series as we explore the symbiotic relationship between flora and fauna. Stick around because I'll need your help in creating this ecosystem. Starting with a tank, I laid out all the materials that I'm going to need, and I'm also choosing from a wide selection of plants. I want to use plants that have tiny leaves to create a sense of scale in this small terrarium. After careful consideration, I've chosen these plants, and together they will form a tapestry of life within this terrarium.
Psst, please subscribe.
I started this build with this piece of cork tile, and by using super glue, we are able to carefully secure it to the background. Super glue is made out of a compound called cyanoacrylate, which is both safe for terrariums and aquariums. With that in mind, I laid a generous amount and stuck the tile down. I kept adding more and more until the background was sufficiently covered. The cork tiles provide a good amount of earthy backdrop for the miniature landscape that's soon to come. With the background complete, it still looked a little bare. It needed something that will add a splash of greenery to the background, something like moss. So I proceeded to glue moss down and kept adding more and more to the background, because I want this moss to serve as a foundation for some of our plants to take root in, as well as a home to some of our future inhabitants. With each delicate tuft carefully placed, I'm creating a lush carpet of greenery, enclosing a world teeming with life. With the hardest part out of the way, it is time to construct our terrarium's most important layer, the soil. The first thing we need to do is make our drainage layer. If you don't know what a drainage layer is, it's essentially a place where excess water drains to, as to not oversaturate the soil and potentially kill the plants. For this, we use leca. After that, we take this piece of fabric mesh to separate the soil from the drainage layer, but still let water pass through. Before adding in the substrate, I'm now going to place this main centerpiece that we will be using, as it will be harder to put in where the substrate is in the way. As I pour the soil into the terrarium, I can't help but admire its rich texture and earthy aroma, knowing it will serve as the lifeblood of our creation. I continue to add soil and form the landscape, ensuring I form a slope upwards to the back to create a sense of depth, adding to the visual aesthetic. We're placing down rocks to add a touch of personality to our terrarium, transforming it into a unique and enchanting habitat. Each piece is carefully chosen to complement the natural beauty of the soil and the plants that's soon to be added. Soon after, I went on a planting frenzy, starting with our all-time favorite, the Fittonia. With its striking veins and vibrant foliage, it's a staple in my terrarium. And then I proceeded to add white polka dot plant, followed by a rabbit's foot fern in the background. And then we completed the foreground by adding a pink polka dot plant and top it off with some baby tears along the wood to encourage it to creep as it grows. I just love the way they look. For the final plant, we'll be adding mini oak leaf fig against the moss, hoping that it would scale up as it continues to grow. With the plants and hardscape carefully arranged, I can't help but admire what we've created. It's not just a collection of plants, it's a living and breathing ecosystem. And because this is an ecosystem, we will need our first inhabitants. Meet the zebra isopods. These cute little creatures will help break down decaying plant matter, and their poop will create fertile soil, which will help our plants thrive. I began by carefully placing them in, but they seemed hesitant at first, so I gave them a little nudge. Soon after, they began to explore and search for shelter. One even managed to push up onto the heavy wood and squeeze themselves through to find a cozy place waiting for it inside. Alongside the isopods, we will be adding springtails. Their great numbers will keep mold down and the terrarium clean. Don't be deceived by their tiny size. Despite being small, they make a big impact on the ecosystem. By eating mold and fungi, they improve the soil structure and make nutrients available to plants. We've laid out the tank, the land, the plants, and we've also introduced our first inhabitants. And we all know that an ecosystem needs to have an apex predator. This is where you come in. I need your help in deciding what top predator to add into this terrarium. We can also add multiple over time as to not tip the scale of the balanced nature of this ecosystem. The only rule is that it has to be smaller than 5 inches to better preserve the scale of this terrarium. Remember, the smaller, the better. Let me know in the comment section below and I will choose the top 5, and then you can cast your vote in my community tab on the channel. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing as it can definitely help grow our community. You can also comment, like, and share it with your friends if you think that they'll enjoy this type of content. I'll see you guys in the next one.